throw something at you, right, that has led me down to look down the scientific
Mm-hmm.
routes that you're talking about as well, because I went through an experience when I was younger and
Mm-hmm.
growing up that I would have been that would have put fear into me a good bit now, talking from
Yeah.
4 years old upwards. So I would have always imagined these kind of black shadows, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and this was kind of a nightly occurrence, and I've talked about this before on this, and it went on from 4 or 5 years old till teenage years. And I remember the age of the internet obviously started, and then I was able to Google stuff, and I realized that thousands, and even millions of people were, seeing the same kind of phenomenon.
Yeah.
And I got to, say, fortune tellers trying to get some answers on it and
Yeah.
this, that, and the other. A couple of years ago, it came to a head where, 4 or 5 years ago, where I tried everything, at that stage, and
Uh-huh.
I'd seen this documentary. Someone said, Jesus, I trust in you, and something changed, and so I said it with not much,
Mm-hmm.
and something seemed to change or
Mm-hmm.
overlap. There seemed to be
Mm-hmm.
an intensity behind it, and everything changed from that moment. And straight after that, then it started my whole focus on living my best life almost,
Uh,
and this is why I'm sitting here now, kind of thing, and this is why I tie in the mental with the physical, because it overlapped my health so much. But when people argued against me about, atheists did, I couldn't defend it from a scientific point of view. So I had to delve down to see, well, if there's a God, how can it be, evolution? How can, how old is the earth? And I had to go into all these things and to say, well,
okay.
to try justify what I was finding now. Like, I say my prayers every night and I'm grateful.
Mm-hmm.
And I do find there's a connection there,
Yes,
and
yes.
I do feel as though when you speak, you're heard, you get that kind of intuition.
Yes.
And
Yes, there
even
is.
had gone into the basics where, we're talking now, but if you look
Mm-hmm.
at it in theory, we're two blobs of bacteria and matter that
Yeah.
formed by
Yeah.
chance over billions of years. But yet we're receiving each other's information based on our experiences. We're processing it through, and we're like, even how our conscious mind is so unexplained. We're still trying to
Yes.
delve into that. And that all just backs up my, my own faith in these things.
Well, I do believe that we are spiritual beings having a human experience.
Mm.
I believe that our time on this planet is short relative to the infinite amount of time that we will have for eternity to spend to do a whole host of things, which I'm sure are in store. I
Yeah.
do think that this, what is next? Let me say, because you were actually, what you were talking about, seeing shadows or entities of some sort. I do believe that there are beings that that we can sense that are energy beings and that are out of phase depending on what dimension, that some people are able to perceive a little bit more than others, but that they exist. I mean, because if you're this infinitely creative God, and God is infinitely creative, and you can create anything that you want, why would you just stop with Earth and humans? Like you would create, if you're infinitely creative, then there will be an infinite number of actually things, worlds, people, like the energies, that we may or may not truly understand. And we're only beginning to actually really understand, just the physical level, much less the spiritual. And so, like, we're, our growth on a conscious level, on a global level, is changing dramatically. Even as we speak, one of the things and I don't know, are you familiar with the Schumann resonance? We talked about that before. It's the heartbeat of the planet. And people say that, and people, when they meditate, they want to meditate at a 7.8 frequency, which actually is the level of calm and level of peace and presence. And one of the reasons why they say that is the frequency you want to meditate at, and that's what the brain actually goes when you actually, it's the alpha brainwave state. But what they found is that the Schumann resonance for the past couple hundred years has been 7.8. But here's where it actually gets even more interesting. The advanced meditators across the planet, when they've studied their brain waves, they don't go into alpha state when they meditate. They go into something called gamma. And gamma is an extraordinary, highly unusual brainwave state that very few people on the planet have actually been tested to actually have. And so those who have been meditating for 30 years consistently, they have had expressions of this gamma wave brainwave state. Well, what has happened over the past just month is that the Schumann resonance on the planet, which is the frequency between the ionosphere and the Earth, has actually increased from 7.8 to 120, which is the gamma wave state, which has a lot of people saying, okay, well, what does that mean? And well, how does that actually affect us? Well, first of all, it is affecting us, and I'm not sure how. I don't know what that looks like, but I do know that it does have an effect on all of us because we're living beings on this planet. But that also means that the human body is actually primed to get in sync with the Earth in the heartbeat of the planet. And so that means that there are probably people all across this planet that are having moments of gamma brainwave states, which means moments of higher consciousness, moments of expansion, moments of breakthroughs. And I think that right now across the globe, yes, there's a lot of tension, there's a lot of turmoil, but I also think that we are poised to experience a lot of breakthroughs and a lot of ascension and a lot of progress and incredible things as we go forward and as we elevate the global consciousness of the planet. I believe that it's happening now, and even things don't always look that way when you look on the news. I believe that there's some other processes happening behind the scenes, even as we speak.
Yeah, they say you put it in a great way. It's very hard to explain these things. Sometimes you put it out, but the way you put it is very well. And I think, it's not that far off the conversation that we started with either, because I think that we're talking about like how our body are functioning optimally and how we're figuring out this information. Like our DNA is so flooded with information, it's like they say the pin drop of it is enough books to stack, I don't know how high, but like that's why I think it ties in, because, when you look at, these things, it's hard to think that we're just, here by accident either, like it's and that's why I think the whole thing encompasses, it won't have
no accident.
No.